The hi-hat is the most expressive, most dynamic, and some might say the most important part of your drum kit. But play it wrong and you can completely destroy a song. So in today's video, I'm going to show you some things I do to get the hi-hat sounding just right. In order to get the hi-hat exactly right, you really need to pay attention to the way you're playing it and not just what you're playing. Now this could be the sound that you choose, it could even be the hi-hats themselves, but what I'm really talking about is dynamic. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the dynamic options when playing a hi-hat. For all of today's examples, I'll be using an 8th note groove, but really you could use this in any hi-hat pattern, any weird esoteric thing, the same principles apply. Now within our basic 8th note groove, there's really 4 options available to us. We could play with no accents at all. We could accent every single hi-hat. We could accent the downbeat quarter note, or we could accent the upbeat 8th note. No accents is played up on the top of the hi-hat with the tip of the stick, and that gives you a really light feel. And all accents is played with the shoulder of the stick on the edge of the hi-hat. That obviously gives you a very heavy feel. Now, when playing up on top of the hi-hat, you want to use your wrist as much as possible. Don't do it with the arms, do it with the wrists. That gives you control over the low dynamic, as well as being really accurate with those rhythms. But when you're playing all accents, you don't want to use any wrist at all. So you lock the wrist and you play from the elbow. It's like what you do with a shaker. Now those two will get you far, but like I said before, there are 2 other options, and that's where your groove will really come alive. You can combine the edge and the top sounds to create accent patterns within your groove. Now the first accent pattern is a quarter note accent. So the quarter note is played on the edge with the shoulder, and the ands are played up on top. So it goes edge, top, 1 and 2 and. Now this can be tricky to hear if you're doing it right once you've added in the ghost notes, that backbeat and the bass drum. So what I like to do is when I'm learning it or when I'm teaching it to a student, we take it onto the ride cymbal and we use the bell and the bow of the cymbal instead. So we have the bell on the 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then the ands are played on the bow. This is the exact same hand motion as what you're doing on the hi-hat, but it's just a lot easier to hear. This motion and any other motion can be pretty clunky and exaggerated at the start, but over time this will become more natural and eventually get smaller and smaller. And once you have that motion down, it's time to put it into a groove. So start with something really basic. Kick on the 1, kick on the 3, snare on 2 and 4. Now add a different bass drum pattern, maybe some ghost notes, even little hi-hat lifts, but really work hard to maintain that accented quarter note. Now a quarter note accent will add a lot of drive and downward motion to your groove, but the opposite is true for the upbeat 8th note. It adds a bounce and an up motion to it. The great thing here is you've already learned how to play this groove because the motion isn't any different from before. Instead of the accent being on the quarter note, it's now on the and. So instead of this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, we get and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Not any different whatsoever. Armed with these 4 simple ideas, you have the power to change a song dramatically. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. So let me show you how these 4 different ideas feel against the same song, and you'll hear how the song changes just by me changing my hi-hat pattern.
Waiting on the day when we don't feel the same. We've come a long way. Don't ever let it change. No matter where we go.
So the hi-hat plays a huge part in your groove, but if you want to level up your grooves even more, make sure you check out this video where I talk about a secret that all the pros use to get a great sounding groove. See you next time.